What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers. I wanted to do a quick update video again here on a company that I know was very popular and did absolutely phenomenally well for us since we originally started looking at the stock. Name of the company in question, FUBOtv Inc. Ticker symbol FUBO, listed here on the New York Stock Exchange. Company down to $2.03, hitting a low of $1.98 today. Absolutely ridiculous. Down 4 cents, almost 2% here on the day. The stock after earnings here, if we look, with an absolute explosion after the company came out and beat earnings as we anticipated. Nice beat on the EPS side, and of course good beat, about 3.5% above estimates on the revenue side. And we see here we hit a high of 386 and just continued to sell downward. It looked like we were almost in a little bit of a descending wedge, but we did not pop out and continued to drop down lower. And as we see here, what was the low of $1.95? So first of all, in my opinion, this is absolutely ridiculous, and the stock should be well above $3. But that is just my opinion. Again, when we first found it, we found the stock, I think it was like $1.40 or something, and I mentioned that I like it and it should go higher, and the stock dropped down to sub $1 and then waited for earnings to have that explosion. However, again, $1.40, $1.30, dollar and change. Next thing we know, it's at 2, and it's at 240 and 3 and 380. So the stock, I know, worked out very, very well for probably all of you. And now the question is, where the hell are we going? Well, again, first of all, in my opinion, I think this is an extreme overreaction. Coming down here to 195, you can see you have a little bit of action around that 195 level, and of course also the 190 level, which I believe I may have spoke about in a previous video. And then of course you had the gap down there initially that we looked at down here at 180. Now I really don't see how this company can continue to sell off. It definitely, in my opinion, should be rebounding really any day, any time here. And like we always say, if we like it up at one level and they bring it down, well, then we're going to love it at this level, right? So if you're getting in today at $2, $2.05, $2.10, whatever it is, and then you wake up 2-3 days from now and it's at $1.80, hey, listen, I know it sucks, but if you liked it up at $2.05, you should love it down at $1.80. Now, obviously, if you got involved, back here somewhere over at $3, obviously you're very freaking upset right now. But remember, going back, looking at earnings, as you see here, the last 2 quarters were phenomenal, and here 2 quarters before that, they missed on the EPS side, which is probably why they beat the stock up, because the profitability and the losses were just getting out of control. And now, as you see, since they righted the ship, just inside of the last several months here, going back from May, the stock went from 115 again and almost hit $4 a share based off those earnings beats. So even with EPS coming in light, as we see 4 quarters in a row, the company has come in above estimates, going from 222 million up to 3.25 million. So, in my opinion, the company is definitely trending in the right direction, the company overall as a whole. And, of course, they could continue to beat it up, I mean, if they really want to. But again, when I initially started this channel, it was more for the long-term plays as opposed to the short-term plays. Now, again, I have no problem talking about short-term trades. If you guys want to join the Discord, again, Discord in the description of every video. If you guys want to come in the Discord, talk about, some potential scalp trades or weekly trades you want to take or you're looking at, absolutely no problem. Come in, we'll do some short-term plays. But, of course, FUBO, I mentioned, this was more of a long-term hold, especially even back here when we first looked at it. I mentioned the earnings, and if the earnings consistently keep climbing and coming in above analyst expectations, you are going to be rewarded in stock price. And again, going from low dollars to almost $4, I think that's a pretty freaking phenomenal damn call. And now with the company selling off, remember, the stock was just at $4 after an earnings beat for the most part. And now you can buy it for $2. So, again, could go lower. I understand markets are selling off and everything. The stock's been taking a hit. But realistically, in my opinion, I do think it's going to bounce soon. As you see here, RSI sitting down here at sub 36. So really only a matter of time, in my opinion, before we have a bounce and FUBO starts chunking up again. Worst case scenario, it remains stagnant all the way until November, because they just reported earnings. And, then it'll have a run up probably into the threes, mid threes, and then potentially climb up and break out. But, we have a lot going on. We got yields moving, we got indices pulling back, and, I can understand why they brought it down. I'm just very surprised that they brought it down this much. And even as they started to bring it down, here at this fib of like 237, 238, I really thought we would see that bounce, and instead we just kind of broke through it and dropped down to sub $2. So, again, I know some of you may be very upset with the situation, but, I mean, it happens. It happens. We absolutely nailed the call. If you look at it from a percentage perspective, even if you got in at $1.30, let's say, the stock hit like 385, 390, right? So the freaking thing rallied 200% for you, right? So, again, like they say, what goes up must come down. Everything can't just continue to run and climb for no reason. But was actually very surprised that it had the pop after earnings and then just immediately rejected that line and completely shit the bed again, going from 387, as we see top of the screen, down to sub $2 as of Friday. But I don't know. On a day like today, with markets pulling back, the stock, I know it's down 2%, and it's more than the major indices, but I do still feel that it's actually holding steady at around this $2 level. So that's why, again, we could see maybe potentially 190 or 180, but overall, I still really do like FUBO, and like I always say, there's nothing wrong with following the numbers. So the fact that this company, again, increasing revenue, consistently beating earnings now for the last several quarters, these are all very good signs here. And as we see, the stock broke the 200-day moving average, and then immediately tried to get back above it. Now it's kind of bouncing around. But in my opinion, overall, I think it is going to go back higher. Definitely shouldn't drop back down to $1.44. I mean, if it does, I would be all over it. I personally like it here at 2, and I was even calling for buys in the Discord, in my opinion, of course, back at around the 2.5 mark here. And then, they just randomly brought it down and sold it off. So I understand it was raging, RSIs were high and everything. But again, men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. And I have a very strong feeling that something like FUBO is going to rebound. The MACD has just been absolutely in free fall, basically since the company reported earnings. Again, what was this high? High of 387 with the resistance right at 386, and it decided to completely shit the bed and just bounce and break through these support levels. So only time will tell, but I still do personally feel very confident in something like FUBO. And if we switch over here to the weekly, you can see phenomenal rise here going back from May all the way to early August, those earnings, and then we had the pullback here. So, like we say, what goes up must come down. Looks like the MACD is potentially trying to cross there on the weekly, but in my opinion, it should meet and then bounce back higher. So that's why I'm saying I feel like the stock, it's only going to be a matter of time before we climb back into the lower mid-twos and continue to climb up and retrace above these moving averages and these support levels and resistance levels. I wanted to look at the Bollinger Bands real quick. Okay, and we can see we're looking at the weekly here. You can see the mid-Bollinger Band on the weekly is $2. So that is probably why, as you see, the stock broke down below that and then bounced back up, and now it's kind of sitting above that level. So it's trying to maintain that level and hasn't really been below the mid-Bollinger Band since back in May before the rally kind of started. So that's why, in my opinion, I really don't see much more red for a situation like FUBO. And again, even if you buy it here at 203, 205, and it drops down to 180, 170, I wouldn't get emotional and sell for a loss. I would weather the storm because the numbers are looking more and more attractive. On the weekly, on the weekly, RSI now sub 47. Switching over here to the daily, RSI sub 36 on stock charts. But again, I mean, anything can happen. I know you all want the map and the blueprint of what's going to happen, and it's just too hard to call. It really is too hard to call. And you have to remember you're also dealing with a tech company that was getting beaten up, that did have bad profit margins, that has gone through reverse stock splits, and could potentially be a target in a market sell-off. However, having the company immediately reject at the pivot point and then freaking sell off almost 50%, I think they made their point, and I think the stock has already corrected, and I do believe that it is going to go back higher. But hey, that's just my opinion. Someone in the comments, I mean, if you're watching the video and you see us pulling back to, $1.70, $1.60, let us know down in the comments section. Again, I always keep an open mind. If someone sees a technical or a fundamental that I skimmed over, or perhaps I, did not give it its due attention that it deserved, I mean, hey, listen, it happens. I have a lot on my mind right now, not to make excuses, but I'm looking at multiple situations. I'm bringing you guys large caps, mid caps, small caps. We're talking about much smaller cap companies like FUBO, like the Sound Hounds. I'm making calls, puts on companies like Apple Computer. I'm trying to make short-term call-outs in the Discord, plays on, index options and DraftKings, and I'm looking at oil. I'm looking at the dollar. I'm watching silver and gold futures for everybody. I am literally going hard here. And of course, during all of this, I also moved over a couple of bucks into my own personal trading account to try to do a little small account challenge and see how I was doing. For an update, I was doing phenomenally well after about a week and a half, 2 weeks after moving that money over. And now I'm basically back at break even because I just wasn't following my own rules of not spreading myself out too thin, not rolling the dice when I should have or shouldn't have, and also, just trying to time it, trying to be too smart and not buying time. So, we all make mistakes. We're all only human. Again, the discipline and the rules to follow, in my opinion, are really the hardest part of trading. Anyone could just say, oh yeah, buy FUBO, it's going up. Yeah, all right, great call. How about if we buy it today at 203 after it just tanked 50%, and we wake up tomorrow and it's at $1.68? Now what do I do? Right? So that's why I always say you have to try to remain stoic, which means to have no emotion. And you also, again, like I always say, I know what I know. And, situations, obviously every situation is different, but, we know what we know. So certain situations in the Discord, we're talking about the puts on Shopify. There was the gap up. We're looking for, $50 or whatever the gap fill is. And I know it may have gotten close, but the target is the target, right? And sometimes it works out right away. Sometimes it takes longer than expected. So that's why, again, I always say that time trumps strike price, and you are much better off going a little further out of the money, whether it's above or below, to buy more time, because if you know what will eventually happen, then you will eventually be correct. And again, I know it's more expensive to buy time. I know you may not see the immediate, 100, 200% returns you could see if you played it this Friday because you knew it, Again, nothing is guaranteed, and as many times as I knew, hands down, that this was going to happen by this Friday, trust me when I tell you, I have twice as many situations that completely shit the bed and screwed me over and did not happen by that Friday, and of course came to fruition the following Monday, Wednesday, or following week after. Because again, I knew what was going to happen. I just tried to be too smart and too slick with it and try to time it for this week or next week max, so I can see the max possible profit return. And again, it's not I understand we all want to make the most money, but it's really not about seeing the most return possible. It's about taking what the market gives you, understanding whether this specific symbol, whatever it is you're looking at, is going to be up, down, or sideways over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, and your job is to position yourself there and buy enough time so that no matter what the hell happens, at the end of the day, you are going to be right, you are going to nail the position, the thesis and the theory was 100% accurate, and now you're taking profits. And again, it may be slower and it may be more boring, but, if I told you, hey, playing options this week or into next Friday, you may only be right 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 times. But if I tell you, if you buy 1 or 2 months of time, you may potentially be right, 9 out of 10 times. Well, then chances are you're not going to worry yourself with not seeing immediate profits. And you're going to be much less stressful and much less emotional, basically knowing in the back of your mind that, hey, no matter what happens, I know we're on the right track. We know what's going to happen. This is going up. This is going down. And, I'm just waiting, not getting emotional. And one day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be right and I'm going to be able to take profits. So, that's just my extra 2 cents there. Learn from all these mistakes. Learn from all these mistakes. But I'm going to end it there. So, once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down in the comments section. Usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel, helps me get more views. And also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That is our handshake agreement. I will do updates on small cap companies like FUBO, Soundhound. I just updated you guys on U.S. Steel, stocks in a bidding war again. Over a year ago, I did the video. You could have made 50% long-term while collecting dividends. Now the stock's involved in a bidding war. Larger companies like SCCO working out very well for us. I have short-term plays I'm calling out like Apple puts. I was a little early, and again, the market had a fake bullshit rally throughout July. So obviously, those took a little bit longer than expected. But, I had a bunch of people in the Discord. Shout out to the Discord crew. They jumped in those Apple puts, and I know a lot of people made some nice profits, some nice returns on a situation like that. So I'll look at penny stocks, large caps, short-term plays, long-term investments. I'll do all of this for you guys. All I ask, do me a favor, push the subscribe button. If you are going to absorb this knowledge, take my recommendations, have me make you less worrisome and less stressful while you're making yourself more money, I mean, honestly, the least you can do is push the subscribe button. That is our handshake agreement. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and they're volatile and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish everyone success. Hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by. Catch you guys in the next one.